Brooke Erol, one of my favorite people on this planet. Hello.
Hi, one of my favorite people on earth, Gary.
How are you
That's what I'm
doing?
going to call you from this point on.
How are you? How's things with Brooke
Good,
today?
good, good. I think there's more like going back to whatever we call normal, especially with the place that I live in, California. So that feels kind of good to be able to kind of hug people now with two vaccinations and everything. So that's good. So how about you?
Oh, well, I've had my first jab. I have another one in probably 6 weeks.
Okay.
But yeah, no, feeling good. Excited to be with you again because, like, if anybody joins us live or maybe in the future, they're
Yes.
going to learn a lot about, like, seriously, they'll learn in the next 25, 30 minutes why I think you're such an amazing human. But first, this
Sure.
show is right here, right now. So I would love to know, Brooke Errol, what is on your heart and mind right now in this moment?
Thank you. Yes, that's a good question because I think it changes really fast, right? Every day, even like we have different thoughts coming in and different things happening in the world. But I think right now, especially for me, I feel like a little bit anxious to tell you the truth. Because I feel like because especially in where I live, we're coming more to the normal life we had, which means we're going to be busy again. I feel like are we getting the lessons that this whole big pandemic gave us, or are we losing the moment? Or are we going to grab to all the reflection that we were able to do and do something about it? That's where my heart and mind is. And actually, I wrote something last night and send it to business kettles, you know them, and Dennis, because I feel like, okay, this is what I'm seeing and hearing from many different people and watching and reading. So that's where my heart and mind is today.
Wow, that's a really rich reflection, Brooke, actually. And I wow, yeah, you've really got me thinking. It's really strange how we've had this period of time. We can't wait to see each other. Like you say, you can now hug people again,
Yes,
but you're in this. Yeah, have we digested? Have we internalized all
exactly.
of the messages? That's
Good word.
really interesting.
Yes, because you know what? It's the same thing happens with other things that like happen in our lives, like when something tragic happens, when we lose someone, we have that time to reflect. Oh, do I live my life based on what matters to me? Should I change some things that's bothering me? But then life takes over and we're done with that moment and we don't take the time to do the real changes. So this is a long time that we lived in this different setting, different challenges in the world, and it did give a lot of people to reflect. And now I feel like we're going back to the busy life, and that's the biggest excuse we give ourselves. I'm too busy to think about it. I'm too busy to give a pause. So I'm kind of afraid that we're going to go there without making the necessary changes that we were reflecting on for such a long time. I really feel anxious. It's funny, not just for myself, but for everybody, the organizations, the leaders that have seen what's happening with remote work, people who feel like I don't have the best career, I don't do what matters to me the most. But are we gonna embrace that or not? That's what I'm thinking.
I love you sharing. Thank you for sharing so vulnerably, Brooke. That's one of the things I love about you is that you are literally an open book. You're also an author of books, but you're also an open book yourself,
Thank
which,
you.
which
I'm an out loud thinker. I think you're kind of like that too. I like to think as I talk, which
yeah.
I'm sure introverts hate because I take this space and I always talk without thinking. But at the same time, I just love to reflect back with someone like you. So maybe you can tell me what you think, what you're seeing in UK and people that you talk to. Like, are they grasping the moment and what we learned from this, or are we moving too fast to go back to what we call normal?
It's a great question, and thank you for asking it back. This is why Brooke is one of Heather Younger's caring leadership coaches because she asks great questions. So thank you very much. Do you know something? what's really interesting for me, Brooke, I think that many more people are in the space that you're in, and what I mean by that is there's definitely an increase in consciousness, i.e. people are more aware of how busy they were. They are more aware of the opportunity to redesign life, work, etc.
Mhm.
But I also think there's a lot of fear to have the courage to actually take that step and say to your line manager, hey, I've not been needing to be in the office every single day for the last year and a half. I'd rather come in a couple of days a week, or I want to do a walk in nature more often. So I think there's definitely an increased level of consciousness and awareness, but I think it's the same level of fear. And I think there's a tension
Yeah.
between that, the increased awareness within every single one of us, I think,
Yeah.
but the systemic
Yes.
organizational fear that a lot of people still feel. That's the tension I feel, Brooke.
Yeah, I agree, because there's always the fear, right? Whenever we need to make changes, we recognize it in ourselves, and then question whatever matters in our lives. What's the priority? I think a lot of people had the chance to do that, but doing it and making the change is, of course, the hardest thing, right? And I'm also thinking about the leaders, because they have a huge impact right now on people coming back to work. And we're seeing, and I'm sure you're watching and listening and reading this stuff too, people really don't want to go back to work every single day. So there is this hybrid work week that worked for not only 2 3 weeks, right? We've been experienced this for at least 15 months. So it's proven that it's working. But
Mm-hmm.
again, the leaders probably have the fear, oh, what if I let them go like this? What if I can't have the control that I need? What if the people are not making the best decision for my business? So all that fear is kind of taking us backwards, is what I'm afraid. And that's what I'm seeing. But I'm also seeing very brave people who are changing their careers, dropping off everything they were doing before, and now changing their lives in very dramatic ways. So I see both. But the fear is, again, I think, one of the biggest forces, unfortunately, to make the necessary changes. So we'll see, I guess.
It's really interesting for me because I think this topic, I'm a failed author. I'm not like you that can actually finish the job.
Oh, no, I still have your book. I
Yeah.
have to show it to people.
Yeah. Oh, Brooke, I can't believe you've just done
I
that.
will never drop this off. So no pressure, of course, but yeah. Hi, Brian. Hi, Brian. I'm showing Gary's book that he hasn't written yet. Hi, Deborah.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Deborah. Great to see you.
And no pressure. And I love what you did. You decided and then you changed your mind. This is the freedom we all have. And there's a timing for something. And you don't have to do, even if you just announced it to the whole world, you don't have to go with it if it doesn't feel right at that moment. So I make this joke with you because I'm going to keep this forever, this one. But at the same time, I love how brave you are, and you're not carrying that fear. Oh, what will people say now, since I talked about this before? This is how we need to act. We can't change our minds, right? We can. Yeah. So
God, I really appreciate you sharing that because you've now brought back the feeling I had as I had to go back to every one of you to
uh-huh.
say, I'm sorry, you spent 45 minutes of your time with me. I'm no longer going ahead with that project. And I forgot about that feeling. And you've just helped me remember that because it wasn't just you. It was 35. It's Minda Harts. It was Gary Ridge. It was Whitney Johnson. It was Mike Vacanti. A lot of people I really hold dear in my heart.
Yes.
That I had to say, it's just not the right thing for me to do. And I
Yeah.
actually forgot about the feeling, Brooke. It just literally came back then in that moment.
Yeah, but that's what exactly in this moment that we are in, just coming back to what we were talking, it's the same thing, right? We can change our minds. And even if we were brave enough in the middle of COVID to change our career, change our lives, and now we don't feel it the same way, that's okay too. And I'm sure, like, you were also thinking of us being the caring leader you are. Oh, would I disappoint these people? I don't want to be disappointment. And doesn't need to be that way. And even the title that you chose, that still means something because you're working on this all day, but the format is different, right? It doesn't always have to be in the book
Mm.
format. I don't know which, this is the third or second or fourth different podcast series that you're doing. So you're always working on the same topic, but in a different platform. That's the only change I see. It doesn't always have to be the written book, right? In my opinion, at least. Yeah.
Do you know something? It's a really interesting point you're making. Again, it's almost like modes of learning as well. So for
Yes.
me, the book, I did. The part of me wishes I did complete it, but I can share publicly why I did stop. A big part for me personally, Brooke, was that something in my body, I'm
Mm.
getting better at sensing what my body's telling me, not just my head, but my body.
Yes.
And there's something about embodying
Yes.
changes in inside job and not just writing about it. That was definitely part of my shift. Was I wanted people to see and feel what it meant, and me not just talk about it. And for some reason, for me, that was important.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's why we are all different in these unique ways, which is great. Some people want to, I always wrote since I was 7 years old. That's my outlet. And I'm not always writing for others. I really, for very selfish reasons, because that's my therapy. But in some point in my life, people said, like, why don't you share? That's why I started also sharing in case it helps one more person or somebody feels like, oh, that's exactly how I feel too. That's the nice thing when we write or speak or whatever platform we use. We just want to make sure that everybody can feel they're human if they have the same thoughts or feelings, and then we can collaborate and do something better together. So it's just like different platforms, different outlets we all have. So I think it's perfectly fine. And that's why, like, being such a conscious person and listening to your body and really a lot of awakening, that's why we want for everyone, for ourselves but for others too, because that makes a huge difference. I want that awakening to stay with people because of what we learned from COVID too.
Mm.
That's what I'm feeling very strong right now. I'm just gonna hate it if we just go back to what we thought was the right way to work, right way to lead, right way to have run an organization and not get the amazing opportunity we were given. Really, I almost feel like really Mother Nature said, stop human beings. And maybe we talked with you about this before too at the beginning. Come on, stop. I'm giving this chance for one time, maybe. And if you even don't get this chance, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to give up on you people. But it is an amazing opportunity we all had. And that's why I don't want that to go to waste, especially after 15 months, really. So,
Yeah, it's now you can see anyone that's watching again, like this is why I love Brooke so much. Like your humanity is just so abundant. But I also, let's be really clear though as well, Brooke. This isn't just a soft, fluffy, it's great, we want to feel meaning in work. And like that's important. I don't mean that's fluffy, but like we're not just, I'm thinking about that really tight-fisted, fear-based, I want to make more money, like we need to grow the business. Like by taking these lessons, we become more human and whole, and we drive better outcomes. Like
yeah.
this is not a soft result, is it?
Exactly, exactly. But I also want, I'm in so many different conversations around purpose and finding meaning at work. And somebody asked me a great question the other day, which really stayed with me. Now that we also talk about how the results are much better, the business results, when you bring more purpose to work, when people find more meaning at work, some people started, unfortunately, concentrating now only for that reason, not because it is the right thing to do, not because they finally understood what human beings are motivated by, but now they're concentrating again only about, oh, that increases profit too. Let me go and do this, right? So, and I always talk about the results of these amazing companies too, but that stuck me almost in my track. And I said, oh, another reason to just embrace something that they don't believe in, and they don't do it for the right reasons, but again to increase profit. Please don't do that. That's the second thing. If you were to ask me what's on your mind, these are the two things. One is the broader thing, because I want all of us, all the leaders in the organizations, to really get the lessons out of this, but also because I'm in the purpose work and deep down in my knees in this work, and I'm in these conversations. Even before you, I was in a UK webinar because all the purpose people seem to be in UK. Oh, you won't believe that. You are ahead of us, Guy, I'm telling you. But anyways, when I have these conversations, people doing the purpose washing, and somebody even used this purpose Ponzi scheme. They said, "Oh, it's a Ponzi scheme." I never had that used, but you know exactly what that means. So people are using it all for the wrong reasons. It's not authentic.
Hmm.
And when you put the results in now, they started paying more attention to the profit maximization again for shareholders. Please don't do that. I mean, that's what I spent most of my last 2 years in this. Please understand what it really means. And it's not only a statement. It's not only, it just needs to be part of all your strategy. It should affect all your decisions. It means also saying no sometimes to making more profit, even because you want to stand by it, right? So, but for consumers, it's hard to figure out which ones are the authentic and which ones are not. And that's I feel
Hmm.
like my job to show them, okay, these are the real ones. Please follow them and be inspired by them. And these ones are just doing it for taglines and marketing, and if you do it for the right reasons for marketing, of course I have no issues with that, but please do it for the right reasons, right? So anyways, I got you to my purpose thing because you said somewhere in your sentence meaningful work, and I had to go there.
It's brilliant, and it's important work. And I guess I want to sort of restate my point: is that we can make more money and get better outcomes for everybody, planet, purpose, profit, people. But making money is an outcome of organizing around your people in a healthy, inclusive way. And I think I see it, it's not just purpose, Brooke. I see it with, the environment, with sustainability.
Of
You see
course.
it even with vulnerability, sort of fake vulnerability just to pretend that you're vulnerable. Like
Yeah,
it all comes back to fear. And,
yeah,
and what I'm most curious about, I wouldn't say anxious, but what I'm most curious about is there's a lot of put yourself in a CEO or a senior leader's position. There's a lot of stuff coming at them.
true.
Hit the numbers, be more purposeful, be more inclusive, be more sustainable.
I know.
There's a lot of stuff coming at them.
True.
And I'm very empathetic to that.
Yes.
But it's really simple how to flip this for me, which is if you design your organization, you can be making the same products. Your
Yes.
business model can be exactly the same. But if you design it around your people and
Yes.
not around your process, you
Yes.
can still achieve everything you dreamed of, but you
Yes.
do it in a way that people go home feeling nourished, happy with their families,
Sure.
with meaning. Like, so we're not trying to say like jump on the bandwagon. We're saying if you design around these things,
Exactly.
it's healthier all around.
Yes, and also ask your people because they know if you want to bring more sustainability, if you want to bring more meaning, whatever you want to bring on, like or diversity, inclusion, people have really amazing ideas on how to do that, anyways. So we want to take the pressure out of the leaders, especially the conventional ones, always think that they have to have all the answers, right? You don't, you can take all the pressure off because people have so many amazing ideas to come up with to tie into what they do on a daily basis to the purpose of the company. And think about, and I've been in many organizations and including myself, when you tie what you do on a daily basis to, let's say the company once was like a dish, like produces dishwasher detergent, right? And they decided that they will never want to harm the planet ever again with the ingredients that they're going to use on it. And if
Mm-hmm.
people that works for that company know it, even if you're in accounting, even if you're punching numbers all day long, even if you're, let's say, a janitor in the same company, if you can tie what you do on a daily basis and say, I'm working for a company who's working really hard, never ever to harm the planet again, and I'm part of it. When I punch in numbers, I'm part of it. When I'm cleaning the floors, I'm part of it, and I'm proud because we are doing the right thing and we are standing behind something important. So that's what I mean when it's meaning or purpose or whatever you decide to do, and if you stand behind it, people are proud to work for that company, because even if we don't always look into that, people do have this intrinsic yearning to do something good. They do have this intrinsic yearning to do something, to contribute. So when you touch and tap into that, oh my God, there's extra energy that people can share with you and the business and the work that they do. That's something that we need to understand more of so that we can use that wonderful energy we all have, right? So wouldn't you be excited if your company decided to all the right things and walk away some of from their practices and their processes that was harming something, someone, some
Mhm.
planet, some living thing, and decided to take this on? Of course you will be excited, right? It will just mean more to you. So at least that's what I have observed over and over and over again. Instead of looking at your daily mundane tasks to see what you do helps and contributes to someone or to the planet or to a living thing. So,
I love it so much, and thanks for joining us, Paul. Good to see you as well.
for
I want to bring this. I want to bring this to. I want to bring this to life. Oh, I think that's the dog's got in. Sorry
yeah,
about that. That's Winnie.
no problem.
how, did, how did she get in?
Sure,
Um,
darling. Yeah,
what's really fascinating for me about what you're sharing, Brooke, is so I work in the chemical industry, as you know. So it's
yeah,
been an essential service during the last 18 months.
yeah.
And I remember many years ago, we oh God. Okay, that'll be the dog. This is live TV. There we go. Wow. Get out. Hey, live TV. There's
Yes, of
the
course.
dog.
It's real life.
It's real life. Pandemic.
Of
Pandemic. But just think about it. A year and a half ago, we would have been terrified if that happened. Like, oh my God, I don't look
course, I know.
professional. Anyway, all that BS has gone. But the
Yes.
story I wanted to share is so when I think about even my own organization from years ago, we used a consultant like yourself, brilliant consultant, and he came in, he worked with us for 2 days, and we were trying to look at how do we develop more of a culture, more of a connected culture. This is a good 8-9 years ago. And we then said, what would it be like what could we do as a vision statement or something more meaningful as a purpose? Because we're doing important work, but at the
Yes.
moment we're not really giving ourselves an overarching mission or purpose to connect to.
Yeah.
We're just making money. And this consultant, in collaboration with some leaders, came up with, well, it's obvious what you're doing. You're improving lives through chemistry.
Yes.
So we supply all the materials that go into making hair care, making aerospace, making planes. And I remember that when I share it with you now, Brooke, I feel it in my body. I was like, wow, I can connect to that.
Yes.
But back then, it's just like a marketing spin, leave it alone.
Yeah.
And it is a real shame, because instead of saying, hey, let's take this purpose to the team, as you said, let's ask them what they think.
Yeah.
The senior leaders decided no, and they missed this massive opportunity to introduce a purpose throughout the organization that could have fired everyone up. So I just wanted to share that for anyone watching as a real life example.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And it's so real. And that's why I always say, like, coming up with a purpose statement with a consultant or on your own is not going to be enough. Like, you have to exemplify that. And when I look at the research, like, the number one factor for purpose to really sink in and to be embraced is when the leaders are exemplifying it on an almost daily basis. And they are sharing that with their people, and also making it easy for them to connect what they're doing every day to the company purpose. So walk them through that process almost. For me, it was like 25 years ago, I had to ask that to myself, and I was selling technology and it wasn't exciting me. But that's why I wanted to find the purpose of the company on my own, because they weren't doing anything about it at the time, obviously. But when I said, oh, I'm selling technology to my best clients, because then they will serve their clients better. So that alone, I made up myself. Maybe it wasn't even true. But when I looked at everything I do from that lens, it made me feel better. So it's not like prepare proposal, make a call, go to your customer. I am improving somebody's life by serving, by doing this, right? So if everybody does that, and when it's done in organizations, when I work with them, it's unbelievable how the shift happens. Like what you were saying, it's a body experience. You're not there just to get a paycheck. You are contributing to something that matters to you. And if it doesn't matter to you, like my first manager used to say, why are you here? You shouldn't be here if you don't like your job. And I was like, what? You can't just quit your job because you don't love your job? I mean, that was such an unbelievable concept probably 30 years ago. But she was right. And I had to reach out to her years later. I said, oh my God, nobody told me that it's possible, but I did it myself too. But yeah, so anyways.
Amazing. Well, look, as we're getting into our last few minutes,
Yes.
Brooke, I would love, can you tell the people watching a little bit more about the books you have written? Tell us a little bit about the books you've written. What are they all about?
Thank you. You're so kind. So the first one, create a life you love, and I always say it you love because it's not your parents' job to love your life. It's you. It's all about really my own experience coming to United States and learning new life skills, getting stripped away from all my identities because you never realize how many identities you built and your ego loves them. But when you move to another country, you start from scratch and you say, oh my God, who am I without all my titles, right? Who am I without all these identities? So all that inner journey I took, I'm sharing that in that book. Very easy book to read, like 1-2 pages, like little articles. And the second one is like when I wrote something with my friends in Great Work Cultures, which is from hierarchy to high performance. So we're all believers that hierarchies do not work, and we believe in self-management, autonomy, purpose, wholeness. So there's really nice chapters about that in that book. And of course, my chapter is about purpose and purposeful organizations because that's my sweet spot. And I have a few more books that I contributed, the one being Human First Stories. So I know you're in that too, like how we became part of this amazing community, and a few others in Turkish. And so that's all. But thank you for asking.
Not at all. It's such, and I just love this thread of all your work. So purpose, humans first, self-management. There's a very natural sort of thread that goes through everything, something very organic, which is
Yes.
what I really love about your work. You're not someone that is looking for the perfect way
Yeah.
forward. You're looking for the right way forward in this moment,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is quite different. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Try to be. Yeah. That's I'm not taking any credit because that's just my nature. It's just who I am. And I'm not doing anything special to do that. It's just listening to myself like you are too. So
Very, very cool. Well, as I said at the beginning, Brooke Erol is one of my favorite people on the planet. And if you can't see why now, then don't follow me.
you're so sweet.
It's true, though. You're amazing. And if only we had that little picture, I should have put it up with you and I having
I
our glass
know,
of wine in London
yes,
a
yes.
couple
And
couple
hopefully
of
we'll have
years.
another one in September. Who knows?
Oh, it's amazing. Well, look, last word for you as we wrap up. What's a final invitation from you for anybody that might be watching this back or watching us right now? What would you like to leave with people as we go into our days?
I think just like what I was saying at the beginning, please grab this moment, this amazing opportunity we all had, although it was very challenging times in so many different ways. We learned something from it. We all did, no matter who we are, where we live. So, about life, what matters to us the most. So, just grab it and don't let that go. I think that would be my message for today. If you ask me tomorrow, it's going to be different, but today it's that.
That's a pretty good bit of wisdom for today. So, Brooke, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you. Thanks for everything you're doing in the world. And thank you, everyone, for watching us. And until next time, that was the Right Here, Right Now show with the amazing Brooke Erol. So see
Thank
you all
you so
soon.
much. Yes,